Hello and welcome. This is an oracle reading for the Aquarius full moon that is happening on the 19th of August 2024. So I always pull these oracle cards before I start a transit, and then I do the collective reading where I break down the astrology in a lot more detail and do a collective tarot, and then the all 12 signs comes out, and I leave these cards on throughout the transit so that energy is absorbing into all the other readings. Today is Friday. It's Venus's day. The moon is moved into Capricorn and is trining Venus. We also have Mars exactly square Saturn today. So we've got some big energy showing up that's going to come through in this reading as well. So I'm going to quickly summarize the core astrology with this moon because the astrology is wild, guys. This is some of the most hectic astrology that we're having all year. Obviously, I break that down in a lot more detail in the collective reading. So I'm just going to touch on the major themes of why this moon is wild. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard and as you can see, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, and they come out in either physical or vocal light language, as well as many other ways. This will be happening throughout the reading. They bring in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through. So let's very quickly summarize this wild, wild, wild full moon in the sign of Aquarius. Now, firstly, it is the midpoint of the Mercury retrograde. For some of you, it might be the day before. But the midpoint of the Mercury retrograde is when we get, because this is when the Mercury conjoins the Sun, where we get downloads and clues about the next half of the retrograde, and we feel that in the lead up to the exact cazimi, which is what it's called when anything is conjunct the Sun exactly. And so we've got lots of downloads coming in with this full moon. The new moon started just before Mercury went retrograde, so this particular lunation cycle is very much in alignment with that transit. Right, so that's one big thing. The other big thing is that Uranus is squaring the Sun and the Moon exactly by degree and nearly exactly by minute over in the sign of Taurus. And at the same time, Pallas Athena, an asteroid, is over in the sign of Scorpio. This is activating a grand fixed cross. Fixed energy can be stubborn. I say that someone whose chart is mostly fixed. Once you get started, keep going, but it can struggle to shift gear, right? It's very loyal though, and it is about the sort of the longevity. It maintains energy. So we have this grand fixed cross going on. Uranus is very much wants you to walk your soul's path, can have sudden changes, sudden inspiration. It can feel quite discombobulating because Uranus isn't exactly gentle with its approach. Pallas Athena represents embodied wisdom and strategy, and I feel like she's the saving grace of this grand fixed cross. Because she's all about the long term, like the higher perspective, rather than the impulse that can often be distorted, right? So Pallas Athena is opposite Uranus. They are both squaring the Sun and the Moon. And so they are activating big change energies. They square it. We've got a lot of squares and oppositions. Oppositions are ruled by Saturn. So one side of that is a sense of separation, a sense of isolation, of feeling very distant when planets and celestial bodies are in opposition with one another. But Saturn is about integrity, commitment, and legacy. So this is when we come into balance, when we honor both sides of the same coin. The squares ruled by Mars. So these are hard aspects. They represent building and manifestation in the 3D world, but it is also challenges. So Mars ruling the square, conflict, drama, frustration, butting heads, wanting to win at all costs, as well as motivation, drive, and friction, building. This is where we see things manifest. So we've got so many squares, so many oppositions. The phrase that I've been using in the All 12 Signs series is that it's like the dust is being kicked up, right? And we're in the middle of a dust storm. And there's a lot going on. There's lots of different directions. We can feel quite overwhelmed. We don't know where we're going, what we're headed. There's so much change going on. And then it's going to settle. And then you're going to see the path that it's created. There's going to be some lines in the sand that are more in alignment with this new timeline that, you know, not just me, I've noticed other channelers are really bringing this in, a new timeline coming in. So we've got this fixed grand, fixed cross, so we can feel like we're being pulled in all different directions. If you're feeling that, the trick is to get into the center, right? If you're feeling quite overwhelmed, just quieten your mind, still the mind, do some breath work, and then see what guidance comes through about which area of those fixed signs you want to focus on next, because they do want to work together, but they're just clamoring for your attention. So you've got to get still. And this is when we turn a grand cross into a generator, right? Think of 4 batteries all moving round and round and generating energy. And it's incredibly powerful, but it can involve challenges, right? Challenges don't have to be a bad thing, but there may be a lot of conflict, a lot of difficult, impinging authority. That can be the Saturn opposition kicking up in the lead up to this full moon and the week after. We're in the middle of it already. So we've got that going on. Now, what else is significant? Well, Saturn, who traditionally rules the moon in Aquarius, Saturn traditionally rules Aquarius, so it's impacting the moon and influencing the moon. So what's going on with Saturn? Well, Saturn is it's by degree, nearly exactly by minute, squaring Jupiter over in Gemini. So we've got Saturn in Pisces, Jupiter in Gemini. Now, the reason why this is significant, one, because the very close alignment of that square is wild, but also Saturn and Jupiter come into conjunction. So conjunct each other. It's kind of like new moon energy once every 20 years. The last time that happened was December 2020, around the winter or summer solstice, depending on which hemisphere you were in. They came into conjunction with one another at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And so that was initiating a 20-year cycle themed around the Aquarius energy, instigated by the Aquarius energy. Not only that, but it also instigated a new cycle of these great grand conjunctions happening in the air signs. For the last 200 years, they've been in Earth. Think the Industrial Revolution, right? That's kind of the bigger collective energy that Saturn, Jupiter aspects can bring in, because they are the gas giants, right? The gas giants that are visible to the naked eye. And so they represent our interaction from a personal level in society. They are the longer term goals, the longer term legacy, because they have longer term cycles. And so we are marking the first hard aspect since that conjunction in December 2020. You want to look to see what got activated, what new construct, new idea, new framework, new perspective, all that Aquarian energy. It will all depend where Aquarius falls in your chart, got instigated around that time. Now we have the square at the Aquarius full moon. Wild. Astrology is so it's whoever designed this fucking OG, and I'm sorry for swearing, but that came out just squares, Mars energy, right? So conflict, drama, frustration, but building. Think of a cross quarter moon. This is when the moon is half light, half dark. So there's an element of things being manifest around this time of what got set over in December 2020, as well as an awareness of things falling away that will not serve the next cycle that takes us up to the opposition. So this is big, this is wild, this is about your longer term trajectory. But not only is that going on, but Mars is in Gemini, right? Today, Mars is squaring Saturn exactly, right? Mars is conjunct Jupiter, squares Saturn. So we've got our motivation, our drive, and our actions combined with the wisdom, elevation, abundance, feeling good of Jupiter squaring off with Saturn, who wants us to get in alignment with our integrity, wants to make things real. There's a level of maturity with Saturn. And so we've got this capacity to take action from a place of wisdom for the long term. Saturn in Pisces, for me, is making the magic real. So we are bringing this magical reality into formation. Not only that, Venus is in Virgo, another mutable sign, opposite Saturn, squaring Jupiter and Mars. So this for me is about the higher level, the more integrated, expansive energy with the Saturn Venus opposition. is when it's in balance, a true commitment to the Venusian energies, to love, to pleasure, to creativity, to connection, to harmony, right? A sense of empowerment through a mature level that we understand the cause and effect of things. We're understanding how pleasure and joy, laughter, play, connection helps soothe the soul. And so we are bringing this into being. She's also square Mars and Jupiter. So there's an element of building a new thought paradigm from a place of curiosity and play, Gemini, into facilitating it into the 3D world of Virgo, right? And bringing the magic in from Pisces. I always like the Virgo Pisces axis as practical magic. Now, if any of you have anything in Sagittarius around, I would say around 10 to 25 degrees, right? It could be quite a wide orb. If you've got anything in Sagittarius, this is then activating a grand mutable cross. So a grand fixed cross and a grand mutable cross. So that's going to, again, similar to the fixed cross, this is about often feeling pulled in lots of different directions, get centered, and then turn that into a generator. Now, what I love about this okay, let's rewind a little bit. If you don't have anything in Sagittarius, you're getting what's called a T-square. Saturn, Venus opposition, 2 squares, 90-degree angles to Mars and Jupiter. The release point of a T-square aspect is the bottom of the T, and that's Jupiter and Mars. This is about taking action, inspiration from our instincts, from the instinctive, expansive wisdom that Jupiter is fusing into Mars. So this is about watch your actions, watch your deeds, follow your instincts, and see what unfolds because of that. And what I was about to say is that fixed energy can struggle to adapt. Now, who can adapt? Well, that's mutable signs, able to shift and change and move and be fluid. So we have this long-term legacy energy being influenced by our capacity to, oh, this isn't quite working. I'm gonna shift this way. I'm gonna get playful. I'm gonna try things out. That is going to be part of serving the long-term goals. So this is an absolutely wild moon. As I said, it may be a bit difficult, but trust and know that that dust is going to settle, and you're going to have a clearer understanding of your longer term trajectory of the path that you're walking with this new magical reality. Venus and Mars are square one another. Saturn and Jupiter are square one another. They are the further out planets, right? Our desire and our motivation, our wisdom and our maturity. And they're all in hard aspects. So they're all about creating in the 3D. So incredibly powerful. The alignment is wild. But not only that, and I didn't mention this in any of the readings, it completely slipped my mind, but the theme of it came through. I just didn't reference the astrology. The sun and the moon are in conjunct or inverted to Neptune being retrograde. Now, Neptune retrograde for me in the sign of Pisces is about the veil being pulled down around the fact that, how do I want to phrase this? The conception and perception that magic, which is just science we haven't figured out yet, that magic, that synchronicities, that co-creation with the great consciousness of the universe, however you want to phrase it, isn't real. That's the illusion that Neptune being retrograde right now, along with Saturn, is pulling down, of us being able to rationally see it, to observe, to have trust in the knowing that that is the reality we are bringing in. And amplifying. Right, 13 minutes. Let's crack on with this oracle reading. So I always put little bookmarks in the books before I come to sit down. I've not read any of these cards. Obviously, I know some of them in more detail than others. But I always like to note when I'll go to open the book, and the majority of the times that I was doing that with all of these different decks, I was opening it on the page that I needed to, or a page before or after, and I just want to reference that just because that doesn't always happen, that the power of this moon is quite phenomenal. For those of you who are new, hello, welcome. I work with 6-month cycles with the moon, so not only do I reference in the all 12 signs what's been completed with the moon, but also what download we're getting with this full moon that will then unfold over the next 6 months to the Aquarius new moon next year. So you're then working with the energy of this big moon. It's so Wild. Okay, so the sort of the crowning energy that we have here. This is from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck by Krans. As always, the decks are always in the description box. And this is Gnosis. Innermost knowing, mystic truths. True knowledge is not found in facts and figures in scholarly books on library shelves. Rather, Gnosis points to the deep and timeless archetypal wisdom that rises from the felt experience of having touched the unknown with every one of the senses. Those who are drawn to Gnosis find themselves in esoteric studies, likely involving mysticism, alchemy, healing, or perhaps science. Knowing is their calling, not knowing is their job description. No matter how far the alchemist takes their studies, they come to the ultimate conclusion that facts slip towards mystery, and soon the mystery results in facts. You know, so I was saying about magic is just science we haven't figured out yet. And so many fringe energies of science, they're all like, we don't really know. We've got no real clue. And that we need to be open to that, open to, we don't know, but there is a knowing, right? And it's that paradoxes of the universe of being really comfortable not knowing all the answers. And, you know, we are trained to feel shame if we're not right, if we're not winning, if we're not all of these things. And the surrender energy of, I don't know, but I'm open to finding out or not, whatever. It's that neutrality, it's the surrendering energy, and just enjoying the ride, enjoying the journey. What I felt when I was reading about the embodied with the felt experience of having touched the unknown with every one of the senses, that feels like Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus, the personal connection to our physical senses. Uranus is the innovator, it is the liberator, it is a very galactic energy. Itiali, its axis points towards the sun. So there's a real alignment with the divine inspiration coming from the center of the universe. Italia, of we're going to be embodying this, we're going to be feeling this in our senses, and that is going to give us a level of groundedness and stability as we take action with this very yang moon. Where were we? This card signifies a knowing that is life-changing. Once you experience it, you are forever changed and become a guardian of Gnosis. The eternal mystery is calling you. Study your passion in the deepest way available to you. When light, contemplating the mystery, unanswerable questions. I mean, the innermost knowing and the mystic truths. And I love that that's showing up with this Aquarius moon, which for me is the sort of the universal truths of it all, right? The bigger picture, the zoomed out, it can often be very far removed from judgment, as in accepting everybody and all their paths and understanding the humanity and wanting to go beyond cancel culture, go beyond separation. It is a very unifying, egalitarian energy. And I love that we've got this kind of very mystical vibe come in with that, because that's becoming one of our universal truths. Eat. I mean, it has been obviously since the dawn of time, but more of an awareness to it, right? Eat. And obviously Saturn's in Pisces, and Saturn is influencing this moon. However, I forgot to mention, so Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, traditionally. Jupiter's in Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Mercury's in Leo, ruled by the Sun. The Sun is in Leo. So even though this is an Aquarius moon, ruled by Saturn, the Sun is ruling the whole chart. And so this means that very powerful, heart-orientated, warm, open, caring, light bringer of the energy, the divine wisdom through the heart, is governing this entire chart. Okay, so next up we have Inner Earth, and that's from the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. I just felt called to bring out a lot of some decks that have stars in them, right? Because obviously Aquarius is ruled by the star in the tarot. The Aquarius card is the star card, right? Inner Earth, you'll survive this, new solutions and beginnings. Inner Earth is believed to be a hidden subterranean world within the planet itself. Many ancient cultures mention it in their stories. It is said that some of the beings of ancient lost lands, such as Lemuria, Atlantis, went there. Hindu and Celtic lore mention caves and entrances to underground worlds. Tibetan Buddhism refers to the secret and mystical city Shambhala, which is thought to be located in the Himalayas. Many have searched for Inner Earth in the physical world, but without success. So the mystery continues. Is it a place that exists in the physical or another level of consciousness? There are solutions beyond what you can perceive, surprising outcomes to your problems and situations, resolutions that are in the best interests of all resolved. If you find yourself facing an obstacle or feeling stuck and have no idea what to do, you're being reassured that there is a way out. You'll survive this and things will work out. If you're stuck in a rut, do something to shake up the energy and shift your thinking. Try something you wouldn't normally do. Soon you'll see the whole new worlds of solutions are available. Things that were previously beyond your focus will present themselves. Helpful people, signs from the universe, and support in both expected and unexpected ways are on their way to you. But first, you need to do something different to shift your focus so you can receive them. I am so moved by that being, the sort of, this feels like the root energy. This feels like the crown chakra, and this feels like the root chakra. With all those squares and oppositions, hard aspects, they're ruled by Saturn and Mars, who are deemed to be the two malefics, right? Rather than Jupiter and Venus, that are benefic planets, right? The yes planets rather than the no or the conflict planets. The fact that that's showing up as the root chakra of like, okay, things are going to kick off potentially. It's all going to depend on your chart, whether this shows out in the external world really loudly, internally really loudly, or on subtle energetic levels. But with all those squares and oppositions, with a full moon that is about revealing things coming to light. At the midpoint of a Mercury cazimi, when secrets come out, we've got some real illumination coming up from the earth. But I feel really protected with that card. I feel very grounded, perhaps because the moon's in Capricorn at the moment, and that's definitely soothes some frenetic energy. That we've got this, we're going to be okay. We just got to breathe. Breathing's always a great thing for air signs. You're listening to binaural beats, frequency around the full moon can be really good. That can be listening to your favorite songs. That despite all of the crazy astrology, despite how the consequences of that, I mean, obviously on the world stage, we've got a different agenda unfolding, but that's part of the process of our personal journey. These two stones were used in the Lionsgate pick a card reading. It's lapis lazuli and anubrite, and they're wanting to get involved. Okay, so let's crack on with this. Is the Memories of Atlantis from the Gateway of Light Activation Oracle by Carl Gray. This card comes out very rarely. I think I've had it once, maybe twice on this channel, and I always use this deck with lunations. That I'm just quite mindful, okay, not seen this one in a while, so it's obviously, there's a power behind why it's showing up. Spiritual acceleration, progress, technology. Legend has it that Atlantis was an advanced civilization that existed thousands of years ago in the center of the Atlantic Ocean. Its people were highly evolved, although there's lots of theories around it's not a dust bowl. It's a really massive, the eye of the storm. I think it's south of Tunisia. That has the shape and the water erosion that could very well have been Atlantis. Its people were highly evolved and had many spiritual gifts. They were telepathic, extremely psychic, and known for their ability to combine the laws of science and spirituality. Aquarius and Pisces. Aquarius can often be linked into technology. Obviously, we've got AI bubbling up. That's been a big thing with Pluto being in Aquarius. This is the last moon until Pluto goes into Capricorn, and then we'll have the Virgo new moon. Just as Pluto's moved in. to develop technology and create heaven on earth. But somewhere along the way, many of them stopped respecting their gifts and spiritual connection. Their disrespect for the earth and ocean caused a great cataclysm that brought their civilization to an end. The Atlanteans, who had continued to live with spiritual integrity, had an awareness of what was to come and were able to achieve full ascension and move beyond the physical realm to that of light. They are now a congregation of evolved souls who, like angels and masters, work with those upon the planet Earth, who are following the ascension path in alignment with devotion and love. If this card comes up for you and has strong energy or seems familiar, it's a good chance that you're a former Atlantean who didn't honor your spiritual connection then and are being given an opportunity to avoid making the same mistake now. If that resonates, that resonates. So a way to connect to this card is visualize a deep blue energy cloaked around you and say, Atlantean Council of Light, thank you for supporting the evolution of my soul so I can surmount the karmic imbalances of my previous incarnation. Oh, that's a bit heavy, isn't it? I mean, obviously that relates to all of us. But as I said, that Aquarius energy is kind of, it's able to just be at peace with lots of different individuals, lots of different people. Stepping away from judgment. This has got the Sri Yantra on it. It's the blending of the masculine and feminine as well as a labyrinth. They have my finger at the exit or the entrance. It's both. They're moving around the heart area. Okay, that's wanting to go there. You are being transported through a gateway to connect with ancient Atlantis. Know that by drawing this card today, you are receiving blessings from the Atlantean Council of Light, who are dedicated to the evolution of the soul. You are becoming aware of your gifts, and this is an exciting time, but also a time when the energies of your ego can become loud and obnoxious. Know that this gateway is appearing to remind you to stay aligned with the highest good and rooted in the energies of devotion. Then there can be a great coming together of the human and spiritual, and you can live in a more evolved way. Atielema dianima, etofiana, ishinia dianima, dianima doichanimo tot ishia, dianima, dianima, dishania. Next up, we have the judge. Ichilema diania duenia, as I was speaking about judgment. I'd forgotten this was really here. The critic, the diplomat, the advocate. The judge has an incredibly important job. They work every waking hour of every day, helping us discern what is safe, true, and just. When this archetype remains unconscious or is captivated by fear, wise discernment turns into painful judgment of self and other. Ironically, the judge's energy can be the seed of racism, bigotry, and fear-mongering. This is the judge out of balance, building walls, separating from other. When this same discerning force is made conscious and healed, however, I just put it at the back of my head, the back of the throat chakra, front of the throat chakra. Sort of like the back of the third eye, then the back of the throat, then at the front. When this same discerning force is made conscious and healed, however, the judge may be found advocating for civil rights causes, standing up for the underdog, very Aquarian, providing resources for those in need, and forgiving again and again. Love is the deciding factor. Awakening this archetype is essential for the complex times we are in. Get your judge in order. The world needs it. When light, discernment, advocacy, right action, compassion, ishe ela diet tianima The judge's energy is contagious. When we feel judged, walls go up all around. Similarly, when we feel accepted, the entire world softens. Now, Capricorn and Aquarius are both ruled by Saturn. Capricorn is sort of more of the past, the traditions of the great earth energy. And there's like a wall of civilization. Aquarius is the other side of that wall, going into the new frontier, you know, wanting to be more free and expansive. I really love, I mean, honestly, my brain does memory dump things, and I get very present that I'd forgotten as I was talking about judgment that card was even there. Yeah, this is really beautiful in terms of that Jupiter Saturn square of the understanding of cause and effect, right? It's rarely the individual, it's usually the system, and Aquarius is very, very perceptive of that. I mean, usually the only tenant you really ever need is don't be a dick, right? Or don't be a C word, which is one of my favorite words, but obviously not going to say it. That's it. Walk your talk, be integral. You know, Saturn is all about integrity. And when you do that, you stop criticizing yourself because you're at peace with that, which means that's not then being reflected out in the world. And you realize we're all human, we're all trying, we're all doing our best. And even those who may not, you may be like, why are you doing that? Well, doesn't make any sense. You then zoom out with that Aquarian energy of like the bird's eye view of, oh, not the individual, the system, the fact that we are being poisoned in every single way, in God's air, food, water, land, all of it. And yet we're still trying to step up. But there are people out there working all the hours, exhausted, burnt out, in fear, right? The news out there is just wild, and it gets contagious in the brain. As a Virgo sun, I've had to do a hell of a lot of work around self-criticism, around preferences, around judgment. And the more that I've done, the more that I pull back those layers, the more at peace I am, the more I feel in flow. And I've got an Aquarius moon as well, that there's this, it helps me tap back into that and bring them into union of it, facilitating flow in the 3D world from a higher perspective rather than getting stuck in the mud. Not that I've got anything against mud. Mud is incredibly important for us. The Seven Star Sisters, birthing creation's tapestry of life expression. There are new creations that want to be born, beauty that's yearning to be woven, new consciousness that's longing to be breathed into life. Breathed into life? If you draw this card, you're being called to surrender to these creations, to usher in a new era of consciousness, because we're getting the judge right. The alignment of the spiritual with the rational, with the science. The alignment within ourselves of being open to receive. The Mercury retrograde is very much about elevating our capacity to give and receive in a more integrated, expansive way. So we're bringing in a new frequency around that, soothing any wounds around lack of worth that can often see us become bully or victim mentality, withdrawing or codependency. That Mercury retrograde is really helping facilitate coming into balance, and it's not just receiving from others or giving to others, but it's with source, with the world, with the universe. If you draw this card, you're being called to surrender to these creations, to usher in a new era of consciousness and do your bit in weaving the web of life. This is the card of the artist and the midwife. You're being called to ponder questions. What wants to be birthed through you? What new creations are whispering in your ear? What beauty are you being called to make? Creativity and intuition come from the same sacred place. They occur when we find ourselves flowing with the rest of life. Earth is renowned as a planet of manifestation and creativity, and yet so many of us have forgotten how to create. That's the Venus energy kicking in. Somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing ourselves as artists, as creatives, as poets. Yet to be human is to be creative. Creative is part of your true nature. This is reminding me of how the majority of people who come back from a near-death experience, even if it's in a situation where there may have been intent to not be here anymore, you get what I'm saying, they all say, no, 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 here, we're supposed to be here. This is where we get to create and feel and touch and build. And it doesn't matter how difficult their lives may have been before. They're like, no, 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 this is it. This is the place, not another dimension. This is it. Perhaps you're being called to surrender to a creative project, such as a new business or a book. Or perhaps you're being called to weave beauty in your home or in the way you cook. Regardless of the end result, you're being called to express yourself through your creativity, to surrender to the creative projects that both scare and excite you, to find a way to weave beauty back into everyday life. For where there's creativity, spirit and soul are present, and the world needs those qualities more now than ever before. Whoo, that's such a powerhouse of a combination there of what we're birthing, what we're bringing in our frequency. Itiala dianima, otofinia, dieshanemoena. So, next up we have from the wonderful Rumi's Gift Oracle by Ari Hunava. Rumi was a Sufi mystic. The Sufis used to get drunk, sing about love, spin around, and call God the beloved, and see God, source, whatever it is, as love. I love this showing up for a Saturn-ruled sign, right? Of the wisdom, and we're squaring Jupiter, of the maturity that we get through exploring what wisdom means to us. I asked the moon, show me the pearl of wisdom. The moon gestured towards the sea. Go ahead and dive in deep. To find the pearl in the vast ocean, you must look for its luminance. If you want to find your flower, you must follow its fragrance. The rest is paltry. Your path is clear. Now, obviously, Pisces is the sea, is the ocean. That's where Saturn is. Of the magical reality, of the mystic, the compassionate energy of Pisces, the fluky sort of synchronicities, things appearing out of thin air, the miracle energy, the undulating flow that is Pisces. So I love that this is saying you've got to follow. I know there's like a craze. I think it's a bit old now. Of, was it glimmers, right, rather than triggers? Of following the glimmers. You know, the things that stir your heart, the things that stir your desire, your love, your joy in your life, right? This is what this moon is saying. Hey, this will help you along your path. And what I love about that last line is the phrase that I've been thinking of the dust kicking up. And when that dust settles, because the air has lifted it up, and I'm seeing the dust is very red, that sort of passionate fire energy. When that's all kicked up, and when it falls back down, there are going to be patterns of a pathway that you're going to see very clearly. Atoela diela madianima, otoela dieshenia, divshanema, diela dinama otoenia. So, let's go with, this is the Sacred Geometry deck, Oracle by Francine Hart. I very much link Aquarius into Sacred Geometry. Plato, the philosopher, had Pluto in Aquarius, you know, sort of the platonic solids, the universal truths, and geometry, maths, fundamentals of the universe, right? Sacred Geometry is code. Eat, So we have number 2, mandala, sacred round. The Sanskrit word, my words are a bit funny today. The Sanskrit word mandala means circle and center. In spiritual practices and in psychology, it denotes circular imagery that is painted, drawn, constructed, or danced. Mandalas are outward expressions of internal processes and can be viewed passively as a centering device, as in meditation. They may also be created by individuals as a means of communicating with one's center. Remember, they were doing work with the labyrinth, and they've put that at the end of like, we are coming back into the center of self, and we're then, because we've gone through it and we've got to the center, we often, like when you go to somewhere for the first time, that journey takes a lot longer, but the journey back is a lot faster, back out of the mandala, out of the labyrinth. Italia doi scenimo toela. Dhyana dhyana, of communicating with one's center and initiating healing and transformation. If you choose the mandala card, okay, healing is very much linked into the star. Transformation, ascension, is the Pluto card, and Pluto is obviously in Aquarius at the moment. If you choose the mandala card, you're invited to consider your life as inherently whole and healthy. If there are disparate energies at work, pull them into your sacred center and view them as parts of your whole. Again, getting away from the judgment, right? Leaning into that higher perspective of unconditional love. I think of the Galactic Council, right? Of line. I often feel like that's very Aquarian energy of they're able to zoom really far out. So it's making me think of a lot of people often struggle when they're connecting with God, book religion, spirituality, of like, how could there be a creator who creates wars, who kills that, this and other, who creates destruction? Well, I know it's difficult to really accept but the polarity of the universe is creation and destruction. That's how the 3D universe shows up. There, underneath all of that is the unity, but it's kind of like that zoom out perspective that the Galactic Council have certain themes that they want to have unfold, but they're also awareness of time and the eons of time, that there are certain threads that need to be at play, and that may not be for a very long time, but then we're like, oh, we want it now. We're a very impatient species, and that can lead to judgment rather than empathy and compassion, especially internally. Pull them into your sacred center and view them as parts of your whole. They are integral elements, but only part of your story. You may wish to do a mandala drawing, which will represent this moment in your life and will reveal insights from your unconscious that you may not have been considering. Simply use a compass or a circular template as your beginning. Then give yourself permission. You can use a bowl, a plate, whatever. I might do this on the full moon. Then give yourself permission to bring forth whatever comes to you. Do not try to censor your thoughts or judge the outcome. Use color and image, word and shape to create a picture of your life at this juncture. Watch what appears and view it as a message of wholeness. I love that message as a theme of what to bring in around the full moon, but also, where was it? That you're invited to consider your life as inherently whole and healthy. And that for me is the takeaway, right? Of that is at the root. That's the knowing. Ideal, and how much magic comes from that, because you're not in conflict, you're not in lack. And when we are in that space, we recreate it. Next up is the Pearl. This is from the Healing Waters Oracle. I use this deck because Saturn's obviously in Pisces, ruling this moon. The Pearl, Alchemy. Oh, sorry, that's also by Rebecca Campbell. Alchemy, the reward at the end, from grit to grace. Pearls are one of the most precious treasures of this world, and certainly of the sea. So we had 2 references to pearl. The wisdom card also has that. And again, that's the grit, creating something beautiful. We happen to be in that paradigm right now. We are shifting into one where that grit, the struggle, the trauma doesn't need to be as apparent, can be perhaps come in different ways. It's not about denying that polarity, but we often have times when we are more that and less that, and there may be a time that's coming that is less of the struggle bus. Pearls are one of the most precious treasures of the world and certainly of the sea. While the specifics of their creation remain a mystery, they're believed to be a result of a natural process. Certain mollusks produce pearls as a way of protecting themselves from irritants that enter their shells. The formation of the natural pearl is a rare occurrence, with only one in roughly 10,000 oysters producing one, and it can take anywhere from 6 months to several years. This card brings a precious message that something sacred is being created, and it's likely being created by you. Maybe you've been creating something in the physical, such as a child, a home, or bringing an idea to life. Or perhaps your pearl is more metaphorical than that, having dedicated yourself to alchemizing your hardships into healing, grit into grace. Whatever it is, you're being acknowledged for your work and the deep roots required to truly rise. Um, Clina was a Celtic goddess of beauty, love, and the ocean, and it was believed that she could be found in every ninth wave. It said that people would whisper their wishes and prayers into small pearl offerings placed within a shell and tied with seaweed, and then cast them into the sea on the ninth wave, in the hope that the goddess would grant their prayer. Offer up your prayers to Clina for the alchemy to continue to happen. The jewel at the end is near. I'm ready to receive the jewels of my life. I'm ready to alchemize my hardships into healing and my grit into grace. Well, very appropriate for a Saturn Jupiter square, right? Currently, I'm just going to reflect on how this shows up in the geopolitics of it all. Right, Jupiter's in Gemini, which is about communication, right? The capacity to jump from one thing to another, to explore, to be curious. Saturn can bring in limitations and authority. Square is the conflict of that. And at the moment, certainly in the UK, there's been people have been arrested for just looking at a video about certain things that have been going on over the last week or so. And this is, right, we had other things happening around December 20 that were going on in the world, and now we have a reflection of that, Jupiter being in Gemini, of something creating a catalytic energy, something creating conflict. How that's going to turn out, I mean, I always feel that it's not going to ever be as bad as we think it is. There's always the middle path. But that catalytic energy, as did with everything that happened over those last 4 years, saw a lot of rise in people questioning authority in the best possible way. So even if this is kicking off, whether that gets enforced and whether that gets put into law, proper law, and then how much discord is that going to create in order for us to come up with a better solution and then not do the impingement on authority of our autonomy. Italia Dienia. That's what the North Node in Aries is doing. Italia Modoila Madina. Wait, what am I doing? This one. So this is the octahedron. And it says the word child. Number 50. The octahedron, with its 8 triangular faces, we are in the year of the 8, is one of the 5 three-dimensional geometric shapes commonly called the Platonic solids. There we go. Each has equal angles, equal edges of equal length, and equal faces, and each would fit within a sphere. Within their structure, they hold cosmic wisdom. This card honors your inner child. Pulling it, you are asked to remember to connect with that perfect being within and play with the reason for your inquiry. Wait, pulling it. Okay, I'm going to read that again. I'm not sure if that sentence makes too much sense. Pulling it, you are asked to remember to connect with that perfect being within and play with the reason for your inquiry. So basically play with your inner child over something. Have serious matters of late prevented you from laughing and feeling the joy that is your birthright? Your child wants to run and dance and feel the air streaming over bare skin. Your child laughs at the serious faces you make as you look in the mirror and tells you to lighten up. Your child is curious and adventuresome and sometimes even reckless, but always in a state of growth. Listen to this magical part of yourself and honor the messages you receive. Give yourself a hug. Oh, that's so beautiful, of bringing in that innocence, bringing in that sort of the full energy of how we then look at our reality, look at our life from that place of innocence, joy, and curiosity, right? Very Gemini. I really love it because there's a lot of heavy energy going on with this moon, and to bring that inner child in is, again, reconnecting back to, we're all just human beings trying. Oh, I can feel my voice going. Bear with me. Sorry about that. We're all just trying. And the child is that allowing ourselves to, it's been quite a common thing with the rise of mental health and the reconnection to inner child energy of, one of the ways to get a zoomed out perspective is to, whenever we're interacting with people, of just being in very big awareness. Okay, well, maybe their inner child, who might be a bit traumatized, is running the roost right now in a way that isn't supportive. So when we do that inner child work, when we soothe and we soften and we let that child know that it's safe, that's when the play and the joy can come out, not only in your inner child but in yourself. So I love that that's showing up with all this big energy of like this new pathway that's coming in, this new timeline is giving more space for the joy, the curiosity, the play, right? Remember the wisdom card was saying you got to follow those moments. You got to spend more time every day bringing that into your life and amplifying that energy. Oh, got the wrong book. Halls of learning. So this was here actually, wasn't it? Spirit guides, confirmation, great lessons. The halls of learning are sometimes known as the Great Halls, are an etheric retreat dedicated to spiritual knowledge. They are a training space for all souls, including those on earth, spiritual guides and those between lives. They have been visited by many spiritual seekers, seers and mediums over the years, and have been described as a giant, somewhat gothic university building, with marble flooring, spiral staircases and tall bookcases. Some have said that these halls are home to the Akashic records, while others have wondered if they are connected to the halls of Amenti. I can confirm that these are actually two different retreats. Ultimately, this etheric retreat is an ancient mystery school and is particularly powerful for those opening up their psychic and clairvoyant abilities. If this gateway comes to you often, it brings confirmation that your psychic gifts are strengthening. These great halls are held within the heart of Source. Leo rules the heart. Leo is very playful. It is very sort of creative. So I love that we've kind of got some lovely mature Leo energy come in. And are a projection of the divine mind's infinite intelligence. When we visit them, we are connecting directly with the wisdom of Source. You are on a path to great learning. Spiritual beings are drawing close to support you. If you are facing challenges or difficult circumstances, or have just moved through such a time, you are being called to review what you have learnt about yourself. If you're still feeling overwhelmed by certain events or asking why it happened, call on Source and your guides to reveal to you the pattern, trauma or wound that has contributed to this challenge. If you aren't experiencing challenging energies, the reason is that you've made huge progress on your spiritual journey. So much so that your perspective has shifted so that you can view every challenge as a window of opportunity. The Halls of Learning Gateway indicates that your spiritual gifts are developing at this time. It's making me want to talk about what's been going on with me lately. So 2 weeks ago, a newly adopted rescue cat, very curious cat, very intelligent, managed to get out. And we personally haven't seen her since, but she's potentially been spotted in a local park, which isn't too far away from us. That a very similar thing happened in my 20s. And the person that I lived with, a very similar thing, energy happened in her childhood. And we've been working through various levels of grief, of overwhelm, of dealing with an impossible situation, the layers of bizarre tragedy that are tied in with the nuances of the situation, while also surrendering and also being an awareness of the unfolding of it all. And yeah, it just in the lead up, there's been other karmic cycles being really, really apparent, showing up in the lead up to this full moon. Italia inima. So I just wanted to bring it in because we've got this with the inner child. So it's also one, tapping into the joy, the innocence, the openness of that inner child, while also understanding the wisdom of all the difficulties that inner child may have gone through, and not judging, not shaming, and just finding that sort of higher perspective. Where what I felt quite a lot recently with so my mind has the vast capacity of annihilating me on a regular basis. And the whole experience since the cat disappeared, I was so aware of the poison that was. And that was how I used to live. I was really able to step back, still experience the emotions, but realizing I cannot let this take me down. I cannot let this poison stay in my body. I cannot let myself treat myself in this way. I have to be the parent of myself, of my inner child, and really make sure I'm doing the best that I can at every given moment. And this kind of feels like that. It's an awareness, it's an understanding, it's a compassion, it's an empathy, but also how do we pivot? How do we shift back into the innocence, back into the joy? Now we have the final Rumi poem. We have the Freedom card, and I love this drawing so much. I can feel the energy, the movement in this figure's hair as they are tapping into their spirit, that they are being, it's almost like source is around them, creating this momentum and this lightness of being. Atoela diale montoela. Ishelema doesha lima hutu fisha shanima. Itienima o tienima o. Diana. In this moment, I am entwined in the vine of love. In this moment, I have abandoned care for consequence. Perhaps you think me a prisoner of this world, but I am here. The prison is there. I laugh. Whose belongings have I stolen? Come live where I reside. My home is beyond in Oan. What need have I for a mind? I have destroyed my thoughts and burnt my worries. Something other has my attention. What need have I for a heart? The blood of the beloved is running through my veins. I am life itself. That's beautiful in terms of the Aquarian and the Leo energy, right? I've destroyed my thoughts. What need do I have of a mind? What need do I have of a heart? Right, that Leo. It's taking it beyond the separation of things into the embodiment. Eat, eat, at, eat, 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 eat. Diat inima, diat inima, eat, 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 eat. So Inoan is a Persian phrase for this and that. Ishilia dinamoa dialima dieni dieni ya dieni to. It has no bond to you, but in trying to bind yourself to it, you are in constant turmoil. Oh, wait. So this and that is a phrase for sort of like she's writing the drivel you have invested in, right? So the chatter, the monkey mind, the nonsense, the superfluous energy surrounding you. The entanglement of it all, right? This figure is free of that entanglement. It has no bond to you, but in trying to bind yourself to it, you are in constant turmoil. Divest from this and that, and it will disappear like the cow in the story, which is what she's written about. So it's really stepping away from the idea of separation, as in that we aren't all things, and at the same time being separate in the unity of self. That's bringing a level of freedom where we are no longer judging the wounds of the heart and the turmoil of the mind. We're bringing in a heightened level of freedom. That lightness of being. The chi in flow. Now we have a card from the Four Agreements Oracle. Very mercurial, this deck. The author has a Virgo sun. It's one of the few books that I recommend. So this says, don't take anything personally, relinquish self-importance. So vary this. Personal importance or taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. It's that bringing our energy back to source, that we are everything. So technically everything is all about us. But one of the phrases that I was used to say to friends who had big sort of anxiety, obviously I had it as well, about what other people were thinking about them, and I would bring this phrase up of, no one gives a fuck about you in the best way possible. right? Because we're all in our own little bodies. If someone is saying something mean, that's on them. That's got nothing to do with you. And that's my way of saying, don't take it personally, right? Nothing, not the external is a reflection of our internal world. So there is, as always, paradoxes, but also that sense of the freedom, the zoomed out detachment of it is all what it is. Final two cards. We have the Sparks of Light from Kim Krantz's The Wild Unknown Alchemy deck. Hope, sensation, exhilaration. The Scintilia card arrives just in the nick of time, leaving a trail of celestial light to guide the way. Follow these flickers as if they are alchemical clues, guiding you to an illuminated state. Well, hello. Dianima, tishinimo, tinima, itala, tinima, ishana, dianimo, toit, tina. I was talking about glimmers earlier, wasn't I? Ishali Diana follows these flickers as if they are alchemical clues, guiding you to an illuminated state. When this card appears, it's likely there has been a lull or a void of direction in the laboratory. Some may even say the lights have been turned off, but in the deep void of darkness, a messenger of hope arrives, flickering and shimmering with enthusiasm. You might feel the scintilla as like a childlike giddiness. Oh my goodness. The presence of magic, a vision in a dream, or a simple readiness to wake up from a long slumber. Follow the physical body, follow the tingling sensations of aliveness within, and we have a repetition of the senses picking up on this new frequency. Aliveness within, and you will not be led astray. Vitality, clarity, and inspiration are within your reach. You are alive. You are a vital being. Appreciate this moment. One spark leads to the next. That's wild. What this is, so I mentioned earlier about Neptune being retrograde in conjunct the sun and inverted to the moon. Now these are the inconjunct is can be a bit of discombobulating energy because we're dealing with 6 energies that don't traditionally work easily with one another. They don't have commonality. Now an inconjunct for me is very much about very inventive, very maverick thinking. It can be a bit discombobulating because it requires a bit more thought process of how to get these energies to work together. But essentially it's breaking against tradition because it's not a traditional aspect. It's not the earth signs getting along, right? It's different. Then you've got real magic of 6 energies working together. That's the Leo Pisces energy. And so this is the clues and the signs and the synchronicities coming in of the reality, the magical reality that may feel very discombobulating to the matrix frequencies that are within your body that are part of the sort of the heaviness and the sort of the fear mindset that's all going to get discombobulated by the vision, the clarity, the animation of the sun, and Neptune being retrograde saying, hey, magic's real, guys, let's be real. And it's next door to the moon. So this is something about on the subtle energetic field of osmosis, the quantum field of the atomic level, the quark level of energy transferring from one sign to the other on the subtle level. So we're going to see this come through in ways that are unexpected and subtle. So just keep an eye out. Final card, Fortune's Wheel, luck and right timing. This is very clearly a Jupiter card. Jupiter rules the wheel of fortune. Jupiter squaring Saturn. The fortune's wheel is a sign that luck has found the right timing in your life. You have the magic touch and everything turns to gold. There is nothing you can do wrong. You only need to hold what you desire as your intention and it becomes true. Do not waste this power on trifling things. Dream big, for surely this opportune moment will pass. Such is the nature of Fortune's wheel. Use the creative power of the Fortune's wheel for the benefit of others, and the gifts will be returned to you tenfold. Use it only for your own gain, and you will be left impoverished and with a bitter taste of squandered opportunity. Fortune's wheel comes unannounced. Notice the early signs, the coincidental encounters, and the seemingly magical and synchronistic events that herald its arrival. That call, that email, that invitation, that chance encounter was no accident. They were all choreographed by Fortune. Do not wait any longer. Carpe diem. Seize the day. Recall your boldest and noblest longing and invite it into your life. This invitation is all that's required. So that was making me think about this element of surrender, that we stepping out of the fear of, did I do the right thing? Did I miss that synchronicity? Did I miss that opportunity? I love that this comes at the end of it, of really getting us to embody a sense of knowing within ourselves, right? That kind of high priestess energy. Now, as I said, this is the Sri Yantra. This is a blending of the divine feminine and the divine masculine within us, right? So there's a real sense of harmony coming in. We've got that Mars-Venus square, which can be the opposite of that, but just know that's breaking stuff down for the true building energy of that alignment to come in. And again, that labyrinth, right? Through the unity, we were able to enjoy the labyrinth, whether we're in the middle of it, at the beginning of it, or at the end of it. Enjoy the experience of life and find those glimmers. What a beautiful reading. Thank you all so much for being here. Oh my goodness, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, there is a competition, the details of which are in the description box. You can enter as many times as you like. I would love to hear from you. There are 3 readings up for grabs. Be good to yourselves. Be good to those around you. Safe travels and be well until we meet again.